15 days of absorbing test match action. The Anderson Tendulkar Trophy is 2-1 in England's favour as we head into the final stretch. Manchester hosts the fourth test, and Steve Harmison joins us on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday to look ahead to what we hope is the continuation of what has been such a fine summer of test cricket, Harmy. The big news from the England camp, just the one change in the 11, and that is Liam Dawson coming in for Shoaib Bashir. Dawson, who last played a test match back in 2017. What can we expect from the spinner, who is much more than a spinner, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's much more than it. I think what he brings is he brings experience of the game of cricket, not experience at test level, but experience of the game of cricket. He brings a different option to Bashir. He's a lot flatter, a lot shorter in stature. Obviously, his left arm. I think in that experience, it'll work well for England. Harry Brooks said he's a wily old fox. He is. He's had a good record in England the last few years. And I think I don't think India will fear the skill set of Liam Dawson. But what Liam Dawson will bring is a way of bowling that potentially will hold one end up and give England's bowlers a little bit more chance to recover and rotate from the other end when there's not as much happening. So I think what he also brings, I think 20 odd first class hundreds. He brings a huge amount of experience. He brings a way of bowling which I think will help the England bowlers as a unit. And I think what else he does is he just lengthens that batting unit. And when you're 2-1 up, you've got Jofra Archer now coming at number 11. There's a lot of runs in that England team, especially lower order.
Yeah, there's some 9 first-class hundreds in the last 5 years alone. A lot of specialist batters would take that kind of track record to go with 12 of his 15 first-class five first
Mm.
coming since 2021. On the bowling front, aside from being the hold-up bowler, we have seen footholds outside what would be a left-hander's off-stump be a common feature in this series. Now, of course, it depends on how the conditions are and whether the weather holds in Manchester. But if those footholds do come into play, India could well have 5 of their top 8 being left-handers. That's somewhere Dawson comes into the game a lot more than Bashir could.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I think we've seen with England when Jadeja bowls, I don't think Liam is anywhere near the skill set of Ravindra Jadeja. But what he is I think if there's something out there, because like you mentioned before, the way he's bowled in the last few years in first class cricket, he knows his own game. He won't have to be handheld like Shoaib Bashir does from Ben Stokes. I think Ben Stokes can let Liam Dawson get on with his job, knowing that he's comfortable at any given stage in the proceedings, whether they're trying to hide the ball because India are going well, or trying to attack because the left-handers are in and there's footmarks there. Liam knows his game inside out, and if there is assistance, which I expect it to be in Manchester, I think there will be some turn as the game goes on, even though there's been a bit of rain around. He's got 50 first-class wickets in the last few years, being one of England's leading spin bowlers. He's in good form, and I think because the way England are at this moment, I think it's a right fit to bring Liam Dawson into this group, into this series, because you wouldn't want to bring another younger bowler into it. I just think he's a perfect time to come into this series with the experience he has. And if there is footmarks, he'll exploit them.
All right, so Dawson for Bashir, the only change in England's 11. Chris Woakes
Mhm.
continuing despite not the best returns through the series, and perhaps more worryingly, looking really down on pace in the Lord's Test. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a strange one with Chris because he did this last summer. He got better as the summer went on. He got his zip back as he went into the series. He did well in Manchester when we got to Manchester last year. He's got obviously a great record in England. They're a stubborn bunch and they're a loyal bunch, this England unit, and that's not a negative thing. That's not a criticism of them. They stick by their players. They go with what they feel is a tried and tested game plan, and Wilkes is massive in that. He's massive in that. I thought the Dawson selection might have freed up that England might have gone with possibly a Sam Cook or somebody different than Chris Wilkes, because let's be fair, he hasn't had the greatest of series. But I think what England are doing is they're backing the Chris Wilkes will come good. And if he does come good, he's a massive asset for this team. So he's been down on pace. He's lost that little bit of zip that he's had in previous English summers. But Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum will believe that he can rediscover that in the last two Test matches. If he does, then he's a prime asset for this group, and he holds the group together. He really does. With the rest of the bowling unit, he's somebody who does hold the group together. But he'll be disappointed, and he'll want a better return, and hopefully for him, coming in at Manchester, where he's got a decent record. I think England have just gone right. We're backing our man. We're sticking with the experience of Wokes, and I don't think you can really argue with him because he's done well for them in the past.
All right. Not necessarily a question relating just to this test, but are there wider concerns around Atkinson's fitness? Because what was a seemingly innocuous hamstring injury in May has led to him not playing up until this point. It's perhaps a bigger point of concern looking ahead to the Ashes, but what do you think is going on there?
I just think there's an element of trust in the hamstring injury that Gus has obviously picked up that England aren't happy with. Whether he was injured going into the Zimbabwe game and played and made it worse, Surrey aren't going to pick him for their first class game this week, where England really need him to get some overs in. So I think he's going to go and play for Surrey's second team. I didn't think you could pick Atkinson and Archer in the same team for Manchester because of I think too many sort of fitness doubts because Jofra having not played for such a long time, and I think England are right to prioritise Jofra. I think England are looking to hopefully get Atkinson a game of cricket this week, and then make him available for the Oval. But it just seems as though Surrey don't want to take a risk on him because they're going well in the Championship. And unfortunately, England, I don't think they could take a risk. Wokes has been below par. Archer's played his first game for the best part of 4 years. Stokes has bowled a lot of overs in this series. So to bring somebody in that you're not sure on from a hamstring point of view, I think that was common sense from England's viewpoint. But it's where he gets his cricket to get him into position to be fit for the Oval. Because back-to-back Test matches now, you question whether Jofra has got enough in his tank to go to the Oval and go again. Stokes will be again. He'll bowl a lot of overs this week. So Gus might find himself out of the team for the whole of the English summer.
Okay, final thoughts on the bowling is around Ben Stokes and the workload. As you mentioned, a lot of overs in already. He's closing in to his highest tally in a single series throughout his career. And he obviously pushed himself to the limit at Lords. He's got the week's break, but do you expect him to have an easier workload in this first of two back-to-back tests, the way he did in Edgbaston, knowing that Lords was coming soon thereafter?
I think there's a couple of factors in this, to be fair. There's one, how's Liam Dawson bowls? Because he had to bowl the overs he did at Lords because Shoaib Bashir was off the field. And two, the game situation. If the game situation is said that Ben Stokes has to bowl 10 overs from one end, Ben will bowl 10 overs from one end because he'll see it's a winning mentality. That's, I think, the difference between this series. I've said on the last show, India have bossed the series when it comes to numbers, but England are finding a way to win, and they're largely down to down to the spirit of the group and the other leadership qualities of Ben and identifying periods where England are striking. And at Lords, it was largely down to him, the overs that he bowled. So I expect him to bowl the situation where the game dictates to, but I don't think he'll bowl as much as what he needs to at Manchester, because Liam Dawson will be in the team, and hopefully there's a little bit more of a respite there when the spin bowler bowls well. So the thing with Ben is, who knows? If the game dictates him to go, he will go, and he'll try and win a game for his team and worry about the Oval when he gets to the Oval. And by that time, England, when Ben will see it, hopefully we're 3-1 up and we've won the series.
All right. Final word around the words coming out of the English camp, where they seem to be embracing the no more nice guys mentality. Harry Brook has had a word on that before this fourth test. Keeping that in mind, can we expect the fire that was lit at Lords to really rage as this series heads towards its conclusion?
I really, really hope so. I really hope so from both sides. I mean, both sides, both sides have contributed to a great contest with a bit of aggression towards each other, aggression in the game, and I think the game needs it. You know, there's a line you don't cross, and if you go across it, you'll get fined, you'll get reprimanded. But I think keep it going, lads. I really do. I'm watching it. I'm watching a series which is unbelievable between England and India. Two fine sides. You what? I mean, I watched the West Indies Australia series, and England and India are playing a different sport. Never mind playing a different type of Test match. They're playing a different sport. It's just a completely different series, and that should be embraced. Shouldn't be frowned upon. The lads have a go at each other, and we've seen right at the end of it. You know, the sort of respect level between the two groups when Mohammad Siraj and the lads, all the England players went up to sort of commiserate with him and congratulate Jadeja for the fine effort that he did. And as long as it's left on the field, that's fine. I mean, I don't believe the microphone should be switched on. I really don't. I think what's said on the field should be between two grown men wanting to have a go at each other. And the best man will win because of their skill sets and actions. And that, for me, is important to keep the series where the series is. And if Harry Brook wants to have a go at Shubman Gill and Shubman Gill wants to have a go at Harry Brook, let them go at each other. Just don't cross the line when it comes to contact. There was one incident where I thought it crossed. The rest of it, I thought it makes for such a better spectacle. It makes for a more interesting cricket. And what it does is it fires each other up. And I think that's the beauty about this series. Fires in the belly is making players play better. And that, for me, is why we're making a brilliant, brilliant Test series.
Keep it coming. Can't wait for more. Of course, some of it doesn't require the stump mic for it to be caught on to what they're saying. Let's see what happens this time. Can't wait for this one and can't wait to hear your thoughts at the end of the Old Trafford Test. Harmy, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.